Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we talked all about Halloween Havoc 1995 in a brand new episode of Reviews from the Six.
Having a guy who looks like shit but is wrapped in toilet paper is very poetic. This guy just comes out with toilet paper that looks like it's been dipped in dookie, like walking around like a mummy, which, first of all, the mummy is like the least scary monster of all, like, folklore and monsters. It's a fucking mummy. It's a dead guy. What are you gonna do?
Come on. Vampires are dead guys. Werewolves are dead guys.
No, but a mummy is always like mummified, like it's an old dead guy. You'd be like, oh, what am I running from you from? But he's not. He's also called the Yeti, which then Tony Schiavone is not told also it's not the Yetis, which famously everyone always calls now. So this guy comes out like this huge guy. They're like, look at the size of this guy. He comes in and tries to like fuck Hulk Hogan in the middle of the ring. Just looks abysmal, just terrible.
Get this show plus NXT retro reviews, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more over at patreon.com/poisonrana. And it's only $5. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next. You found us at postwrestling.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast app you're using right now. And of course, we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How we doing?
Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday, October 29th. And it means we're here to talk about some NXT. And you know why? Because we are your NXT friends. And we'll always be your NXT friends. And today we're here to talk about some NXT like we every Tuesday. We are here for you. It might be every Wednesday. I mean, well, it will be next Wednesday that we will be doing this live on Wednesday night. So I know there'll be some people watching the other show and some people watching NXT, but a little programming note. We went live on Sunday, but we're going live next Wednesday for NXT at the 2300 Arena. Very exciting.
Yes. Going to one of the most important states next week, I believe, in Pennsylvania. We could have some happy people. We could have some sad people. But I'm sure the NXT people will be having fun next week.
Wrestling fans will be fine. Everything else in the world doesn't matter to wrestling fans. There's some sports fans that also like wrestling. Like there's a big crossover there too. But to some, wrestling is the only thing. It doesn't matter what's going on in the country. Just as long as wrestling's on, we're happy. Is pretty much what some would say. But yes, a big night. So I wonder if they chose to do this because of like the elections and everything. That they're like, you know what? Let's take a Tuesday off. The news is going to be running wild. Like whether it's the CW, there's different news shows. Like that will be what people are tuning in to watch.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is TV stuff. Like they wouldn't have been able to do anything on the Tuesday. So Wednesday makes a whole lot of sense. It's back like it used to be way back when we had our Wednesday shows before a certain little company called AEW came along and shook things up a bit. But yes, next Wednesday we'll be live right after the show, 10:05 p.m. And I'm pretty looking forward to it, I've got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not all the time they go up against like other wrestling. It's fun to live in this like, hey, sometimes there's wrestling on at the same time. We're not usual. You don't like to watch two things at the same time. And I can totally agree because it's like you can't really focus on one thing or the other. But I do find that like if you're just a wrestling fan, you tune out of one thing. And like if the learning tree is on and then you go, okay, what's going on over there? And then you see Dawn Marie as a ref. You're like, whoa, okay. okay, this could be good. And then I'm trying to think of something that would off-put us. Usually I'd say Lexis King, but I'm dare would I say that now. And then you flip the channel over, and then it's something good. It's Ricochet on the other channel. Who knows what the possibilities?
Yeah, whereas I'm like, we can record stuff and watch it later and actually enjoy both. So yeah, I'm not about the flicking back and forth. I think it's kind of dumb, but I know people have that nostalgia for back in the 90s when apparently no one had VCRs. So yeah, but yeah, we'll be watching NXT, and then I'll probably catch up with AEW a little bit later on.
Yeah, and then we got Fright Night, Dynamite, whatever it is, tomorrow night for Devil's Night. We won't be watching it because we'll be doing our Halloween party in Toronto at Gabby's. For anyone listening Tuesday night or Wednesday morning here, Wednesday Devil's Night at Gabby's in Toronto. Join us for our Halloween screaming, aka, did I say screaming? I meant that pun. Aka Loomis Night here in the city. We're going to try to have the most Loomises from the Halloween movie franchise costumes. I don't know if we're going to break a Guinness World Record, but we're going to break some sort of record.
I think it will be the first. I don't think anyone else would have done this before. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't find any evidence of it. I feel we might have 10 Loomis tomorrow.
10 Loomis eyes.
At least 10 Loomis, which I think is fantastic.
So we got to somehow get this sent to like Donald Pleasance's like estate or something. Like, hey, we did this for you, Donald. And then we're donating all the money we make and donating it to sick kids here in Toronto, which we're just going to have a lot of fun. This Halloween spooky season is definitely a fun time. But yeah, looking forward to that, especially with people actually dressed up as characters from the Halloween movie franchise.
Yes. I'm curious. I know a bunch of our friends are going along, and they're a lot of the Loomis we've roped in. But there's some names I don't recognize as well. So let's see if they got the memo and they got what this is really about tomorrow. And it's honoring
Loomis.
Yes.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance. Bring the red wine. Ooh, we have red wine at Gabby's, right?
There's plenty of red wine at Gabby's. I was making a little drinks menu earlier, and I almost put on the Loomis, and just underneath it's red wine. It's a bottle of red.
House red on sale. Do wine shots.
Yeah,
that's something you could do.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the man loved his red wine. So we're just nerds who love Halloween. So we're deciding to do this event, and a bunch of our friends are coming. So we're gonna have a lot of fun this Halloween season. And that doesn't stop there, because if you've listened to us, or maybe you're new to us, you might know that, or don't know, that every Halloween we review a Halloween movie in the franchise. We started at the very beginning, and we've been working our way through. And for free tomorrow, for everyone over on the Poisonrana feed, we will be reviewing Halloween H2O 20 years later. That's right. We're going to review Water.
Yes, H2O from 1998, 20 years after the original. I'm excited. I mean, as we left things last year, we had we both watched two different movies last year because there happened to be two different versions of the same thing.
That's right, yeah.
Loomis was screaming as he's been poisoned by the Man in Black. It was such a cliffhanger. No. I can't wait to see how they follow this up. What is next with the Man in Black? What is next with Dr. Loomis? I'm sure we will find out in this movie, won't we?
Yeah, actually, Davey, I'm sorry to break it to you. They actually move away from that storyline. And then they'll do the same thing to this movie twice. So, yeah. Wow. There's a lot of alternate universes.
There's all the MCU people out there who are like, oh, that's that timeline. That's what
that connects to this. Oh,
it ain't nothing compared to the Halloween cinematic universe and the different parallel universes and sequels, requels, and prequels, the like. I want it to get crazier. You know, the rights have changed to another company now. Let's wheel Jamie Lee out again and just
honestly
be like, we're pretending all of that didn't happen.
This didn't happen either.
We're getting Paul Rudd and Jamie Lee Curtis back and Danielle Harris, and we'll do a proper Halloween 7. How about that?
Yeah, like they could totally just do a 50th anniversary and say, hey, that all also didn't actually count or happen. It was all a dream. Laurie Strode, sorry about that. But yeah, we really love the Halloween.
Or we need
movie.
just Tom Holland and Benedict Cumberbatch to come and just put them all together somehow. Yeah.
That would be sick if we did like a multiverse of different horror movies. I think that's what we need. We need like Freddy versus Jason, another movie we have reviewed. Like do that. Do like a Michael Myers versus, do a few versus movies. That could be quite a lot of fun. I heard that the reboot of Michael Myers Halloween might be like a show, which is like, okay. But I at least getting something for like the 50th anniversary, I think is what they'll look for. So that's in like, 4 to 3 years by the time they start working on it. But we're reviewing H2O from 1998. So in 98, they were like, hey, wow, we made this movie 20 years ago, and we're going to create a whole new timeline and forget everything ever happened. And it is funny how they will go and do that all over again. But I loved H2O. I got a soft spot for this one. Josh Hartnett, first ever movie. Come on. All right. LL Cool J. This one's a good one. I'm really excited to talk about H2O. That'll be out for everyone tomorrow on the free feed. So search Poison Rana in your feed and give us a little follow.
Well, maybe the 50th anniversary of Halloween is coming up, and maybe Vince McMahon and Brad Blum could create it in this new entertainment hub that came out being reported today. Will they have the rights to Halloween? Who knows?
Oh yeah. So is there actual there's some credibility behind this that Vince McMahon is gonna try to actually create something else? Like he's not just gonna disappear into the sunset or behind bars. He's just like, no, I'm gonna make another entertainment company. So
I feel a lot might ride on next Tuesday's result, to be honest. But
yeah, he won't have to worry if things go in his favor. But what's he, the WWF? Is he gonna have wrestling? I don't see him doing that. He's not gonna try football again. That's
so
sure.
It's reported that it's apparently not to do with wrestling, but an entertainment hub for film and TV. I mean, with everything going on at the moment, I can't see who would work with this guy. Who is gonna, and the track record hasn't been great. WWE Studios hasn't really lit the world on fire, has it? The XFL certainly didn't. I can't see this thing taking off, and who in their right mind would work for them? I don't know.
Yeah, part of me wouldn't be so surprised if old wrestlers that he's, been close with or whatever work with him. Maybe he works in agency stuff. I'm not quite sure what this entails, but we don't need to see Vince McMahon. At least he's away from WWE. He's away from wrestling. As far as we're concerned, great. Because we don't need to see anything else from him. I'm kind of wow, really? Even after all this, you just won't. You're rich enough, man. And that Vince doc kind of maybe told us a bit about him is he doesn't ever want to retire. What does he say? If you want to retire, you should just kill yourself or something, something crazy.
Probably, yeah.
Right. So it's this guy will work until he dies, essentially. And that's clearly his mindset. But man, ain't nobody got time for that. No one wants to see that. No one shouldn't really be associated with him, but I'm sure they will. It's wrestling. There's wrestlers involved. But he helped make me. He helped make me millions of dollars, which I totally get from some people. But that's the reoccurring thing you're hearing from Mick Foley, etc. Hey, Vince, I owe a lot to Vince McMahon. That's totally valid and true, but they kind of always dance around the other stuff.
Yeah, I just for trying something completely outside of wrestling as well. I don't. Okay, you make a movie, but who's distributing this? With things how they are right now, with all these lawsuits, we didn't do a Poison Rana this week because of Halloween Havoc, but there was another lawsuit that dropped last week with the Ring Boy scandal, and Janelle Grant stuff is ongoing, and I'm sure more stuff is probably going to come out as well. I just can't think who in their right mind would touch this man, anything he's doing right now. I mean, who's to say what the landscape will be in 5 years? But he's 79? I think it's not like he's a spring chicken anymore, is it?
He's old enough to run for president, but
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I find it weird. The Ring Boy stuff coming out now, obviously, like we know about this. If you didn't know about this and then you watch the Vince doc, you'd be like, hey, what's going on with this? And you've heard other things. I'm trying to think if Darkseid has even necessarily touched that one at all. But it's like, this is now a recurring story. And is it because of the documentary that this story now is like coming into play and more lawsuits? Is it because the story got out more publicly? We're seeing that with the Netflix show for the Menendez brothers, where they make a whole show about them. And then your TikTok generation of people are like, hey, actually, maybe there was like a different story going on here than, I mean, they shot their parents, but then more people are now a bit more like sympathetic for them. And now there's a real like push to get these guys released. And it's like, well, if that documentary and shows like that weren't made, then maybe like this wouldn't have come out. But it's good that it does, because the more you read about it, the more fucked up it is, and you realize how wrong it is and how much stuff Vince McMahon, and not just Vince McMahon, but WWE, who is listed in this lawsuit, is like they're being called out for, you know, putting some things under the rug that they were like too ashamed to, I don't know, deal with, or etc. But yeah, it's someone's got to face the music at some point. But with Vince McMahon and lawyers and everything, you kind of, and his age, will he ever really truly, you know, see a time in prison? I'm not quite too sure. But as someone who's, again, just watched wrestling, and with the stuff this guy has done on screen for your entertainment, as he would say, like, I don't necessarily think this guy is an innocent man. So I'm sure that's the public kind of the like concise public views right now are like, Vince, we kind of know you've been up to some shady shit, and now it's all coming to light. So you should get yours, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Some other stuff coming out today is this WWE ID, where it sounds like WWE are going to be working with some independent promotions, helping the development of young talent. Ones in particular, like Hodie's Nightmare Factory, Seth Rollins School, the Reality of Wrestling with Booker T, and some others as well. It sounds very similar to kind of what happened with like your Progresses and OTTs and WXWs down back in the day. Like, is this a good thing, Braden?
Yeah, I was reading about this and didn't quite like understand it almost. And then I saw a lot of people making that comparison, like, hey, isn't this kind of what they did with Brit Wrestling? You know, which is Brit Rest dead? I'm not sure. Has anyone checked? Please let us know. But yeah, if this is the case, like, again, just as like a fan watching this, you want the wrestlers to actually be able to afford groceries. You want the wrestlers to afford to be able to take care of their bodies when they get banged up. You want the wrestlers to feel secure and everything in their job. And I think we saw that with AEW when like all of a sudden they're like hiring independent wrestlers, like not well-known people, and like giving them some checks and giving them some money. And I think maybe in a way, this is hopefully what WWE is doing too. Like they're having their little territories, their nets of stuff, and then they obviously cherry pick the best of the best and then kind of funnel it back into maybe their system of NXT, or I'm not quite sure, but like I hope it leads to wrestlers like being taken care of essentially. But there is the flip side of, hey, will this like damage other, you know, wrestling communities and independents? That we have seen that happen, especially in the Brit wrestling scene, and because like your reality of wrestling's right. That's something that was referenced in this story. And we've been making jokes. I know I have been making jokes about, hey, you ever notice how Booker T all of a sudden like is really high on someone on commentary when you see that they've announced their working reality of wrestling? So like, that's just a little like of where that could go. Like, hey, if you work with our show because it's WWE adjacent, then you know you're gonna like get to WWE, and that could potentially harm everything else is what they're.
Yeah, it depends how it's done. If it's just kind of, you know, putting money into these companies to help them out and help the development of these wrestlers, and sort of being, yeah, we've got an eye on what's going over here, sort of like OVW was at one point. Okay, but it's when you start seeing what we did with the UK indies is okay, well, you can't take you can't take that booking and you're not able to do that. And, oh, well, we can't stream their match because they're technically one of our, or that kind of stuff is where it gets like
weird.
murky. And I think, yeah, I mean, we've seen the PC is successful in training like non-wrestlers or whatever, but I do think there's something to be said about still, you know, hitting the beaten path and working as many indies as possible, as many states, as many countries, and kind of getting your reps in that way. And if this is going to be more of a like a fast track, you know, you join Reality of Wrestling, you wrestle for 8 months, and then suddenly you're in NXT. I don't really know about that.
Yeah, it's like another thing. Like, as much as people might scoff at, like, wrestling is sort of like sports, right? But it's also like art. It's entertainment. It's kind of art. And does that like take away that like maybe everyone? That's the old thing to look at the PC when that was being built, right? There's a lot of people like, hey, if you're all brought up and trained the same way, then like, how are we supposed to like find, you know, things that make people unique and all that kind of stuff? And I guess there is that argument, but I don't know. Like, again, I want to see what this kind of entails, because if it's just like is this new generation where Triple H running the show, would he do those kinds of things that pissed you off, like those things that kind of affected, like, oh, well, we're gonna let you have our indie guy, our WWE like NXT superstar work your indie show and you can promote them, but they can't lose ever. Like, is it going to be like that? Is it going to be like, oh, you can't stream this because they work for us or this or that? Like, they might have to loosen some things there. But like, I'm sure a lot of British wrestling fans or British wrestlers are like, guys, no, do not sign this, please do not. So yeah, I've seen some discourse on it, like so far, and I guess like we got to see how it plays out. But I feel for people that if this could like affect their business, whether if they don't get attached to WWE, and does that affect your brand and your indie people going to your shows, etc. But at the same time, I do think if this helps the wrestlers, like, do wrestlers have to sleep in their cars to, you know, make it to shows sometimes? Like, they do. So I would like it if they made some money, because they're banging up their bodies for us, for our entertainment. And I always respect that as well. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that one plays out, but hopefully it doesn't mean WWE, or it's just territories. Triple H is like, I'm gonna buy indies. I'm just buying all the indies everywhere. Maple Leaf Wrestling, what's that? Yeah, I want you guys too. TNA, fuck it, just buy it, Paul. Just buy it. Just buy everything. Ring of Honor, AEW, all of it. Yeah. I did see that. I'm trying to think of anything else going on. We will have a Poisonrana this Sunday. So Crown Jewel, Saudi Mania, is Saturday at like what, 1 p.m. Eastern time?
I think it's 1. Yeah, it's usually about 1, right?
On a Saturday. So we're going to have time to watch that. And we're going to go live this Sunday over on Poisonrana on the YouTube. Go give us a little follow there. And we will be going live 2 p.m. Eastern time to chat all about other stories going on in the wrestling world, including AEW and the Fright Night stuff that happens this week, and then also Crown Jewel and et cetera, and then the audio to be up after that. So again, search Poisonrana in your socials, in your YouTube, in your podcast app, and give us a follow, because we got lots and lots of other shows.
Do you want to quickly do some predictions for Crown Jewel? I've got the card up here, because they've broken the mold. It's not a 5-match show. They're going with 7 this time, and we've got Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for the inaugural WWE Crown Jewel Championship. I see Gunther here. I think it makes more sense. I think he kind of could use it more, especially with his titles being seen as kind of the secondary title. I don't think Cody needs to do anything with this, whereas I think it can add more to Gunther's character, I feel.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this match. I think these two will have just a classic, hopefully. It's kind of not how I envisioned seeing these two finally get back in the ring together since the Rumble that we saw them. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, let's go. An exhibition match in Saudi. Let's see what you do. And I wonder if Gunther wins by shenanigans, by malarkey or something, maybe Kevin Owens, or I'm not sure. But either way, I do agree. I think Gunther should beat him, just to kind of continue this baddie character he's got going on.
And we've got Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship.
Oh, Liv Morgan. No, I guess Nia. I really don't care, actually.
I could see it being Liv here. Just I think there's stuff going on with Tiff, and kind of I think Tiff could kind of screw up, try and help Nia, and have Liv win it. But there's also Tiff being the Money in the Bank holder, and this being a champion v champion. I wonder whether she tries to cash in on either / both of them or whatever.
Yeah, or she could cash in on the gold crown
on the crown. Honestly, I think the this doesn't look like a great match on paper, and I kind of hope for the Tiffany shenanigans to try and make this a bit more entertaining. I've been enjoying Liv's in-ring work. Nia, not so much, but I can't see this being, two heels going against each other as well. This probably is the weakest match on the card.
Yeah, for sure.
Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. We had quite fun. I mean, it was very Michael Myers-esque yesterday on Raw with Seth thinking he's taken out the monster with that stomp on the hood of the car for Bronson just to rise from the dead. But I think Reed's been great in this role of just monster stuff backstage and crazy stunts. So I see Seth winning this one, but I think it could be quite fun.
Yeah, I think Seth should win too, just to keep him. I think he's gotten to the highest popularity point in his career. So I as much as it would maybe help to give Bronson a win, it could kind of go either way. But keeping Seth strong, because with injuries aside and everything, I'd say he's a key player for WrestleMania season, not too far around. And you want him around for sure. So keeping him kind of strong. Also, what was up with his 2 blue jackets? He had 2 jackets on. He took off his blue jacket to reveal another blue jacket. This guy is
it's a Russian doll of Seth Rollins.
Superman or something. It was crazy. But yeah, I go with Seth.
Yeah, because I feel once the Saudi season's over, we'll be getting CM Punk back, and you can start building that match, whether that's for Mania or before then. LA Knight defending the US title against Andrade and Carmelo Hayes.
What do you think?
I just hated this on SmackDown. The fact you've had Game 7 between these two, and then it's LA Knight just going, fuck it. And didn't think it got the reaction they were thinking as well. I think they were going for the sort of badass Stone Cold, throwing the rule book out. But LA Knight just came across a bit heelish, considering these matches have been pretty good. I think maybe this is an opportunity to get it off him. You could have Andrade finally pin Carmelo, or the other way around, to kind of finish that. But I don't know. I didn't really like the build to this at all, to be honest.
LA Knight is still a big character, but he's the mid-card title holder. The US title, I've not super loved the matches were fine, but I think having Carmelo finally win the US title and turn it into the spinner has been something he's been pushing for on social. So that could happen. Might not happen this week, but eventually bringing back the spinner is in Carmelo's future, I hope.
And I kind of feel you gave LA Knight his moment at SummerSlam. It's not like this US title run has been anything to write home about. So yeah, I like that. Go with Melo. And then a fatal 4-way tag team match for the Women's Tag Championship. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Damage Control of Kairi Sane and Io Sky, Metaphor, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, and Chelsea Green and Piper Niven.
I mean, super awesome to see 2 NXT stars now, kind of get the soft launch on the main roster, kind of, right? So seeing them get that Saudi paycheck is quite awesome for an NXT superstars there. So that's pretty cool. But do you see a title change happening? I don't know. I think Bianca and Jade keep it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that they feel so much more above any of their challengers, right? And I kind of want them to. It, again, hasn't really been a particularly exciting tag reign. So selfishly, I'd like to see Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson win this thing and have these titles in NXT for a bit, because, I mean, the Tonight Show proved it. The women's division is really, really deep in NXT right now. And I think having tag titles to fight over there feels a better use of them than on the main roster, to be honest, especially when they're held up with two. I mean, Bianca Belair is certainly a main eventer, and Jade Cargill has that star power behind her as well. So I'm kind of rooting for Lash and Jakara there.
It would be way more interesting and be great for like the women's tag division and NXT division. So I would like that to happen. I just don't know if I do see it.
And then the OG Bloodline reforming, Roman Reigns and the Usos taking on Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and either Tongaloa or Jacob Fatu in a 6-man tag match.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting this match where it's the OG Bloodline and the new Bloodline. So I feel like this is something that definitely has a lot of people's attention because they've been following this story. Like, this story is still super popular, no matter if you've fallen off it or not. Like, it's just it just keeps going and going and going. But we're coming to finally some more juicier stuff where it's like, hey, now Roman's back, and his matches don't usually do it for me. So I'm not saying like I'm super hyped for this, but I think it's everything else that kind of surrounds it. The Usos being back with him, Jacob Fatu, hopefully in the match, wrestling, tangling it up with the Usos and Roman. And then more like gearing towards War Games is like kind of where we're going to eventually go with this. So the big question is, do we see the Dwayne show up at Crown Jewel? That's the I said you probably wouldn't see him wrestle at Crown Jewel, but will you see him at Crown Jewel? I think there's a possibility.
Yeah, I feel kind of The Rock's status is maybe rushing this thing a little bit. Like, we've known for a long time Survivor Series is probably the end goal with this 5-on-5, but it just felt, especially having like Roman and the Usos are actually gonna finally reunite and make up this coming Friday. You know, like, they've announced the match, but because SmackDown was taped last week, it's all kind of out of order, which feels a bit weird. You'd think that would be something you'd want live on TV, you know, Roman and Jay finally like getting together again. Feels like they've sort of rushed the end a little bit to get here. But I am intrigued now. Sammy's in the mix. I really enjoyed that stuff yesterday on Raw with Sammy kind of warning Jay about all the stuff that's happened. Like, why would you go back? This guy was emotionally abusing you for years and you're going back to him. And Jay just saying he's family and you're not, basically. And Sammy, which we haven't seen for a while, Sammy doing his sad puppy dog that's just been kicked acting. But yeah, so we know the next step is getting Sammy with them. And then who is that fifth member? Do we see Rock at Survivor Series? Rock and the Bloodline, the new Bloodline taking on this new like the original Bloodline. And who's the fifth member? Do you put Bron in there? You had like that interaction with Bron and Fatu. Like, is he a bit of a outside bet, or do you put Cody with them? Like, I wonder where you go for the rounding up these teams.
Again, I think it's The Rock. I think The Rock shows up at the end of War Games as the last entrant. He's not in the cage with them. He just shows up and then he enters the cage and like helps
and
them
wins.
win.
He Kevin Nashes it.
Yeah. He totally completely just does that and wins it. And then you further the feud of Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania, I guess, is where we're going. Cody Rhodes has been kind of insinuating that the WrestleMania plans may be like out of left field or something like that. So if that is something towards that, like Roman, Rock, night one, easy main event to go to. Doing it a triple threat is a little messy. So I'm wondering if we just go straight to CM Punk and Cody Rhodes at one of the other nights for WrestleMania. And I think that could be pretty big. But then you also have John Cena who could be in the mix. You also have like a few other people that big time, like bigger players that, you know, Seth Rollins, Punk is also something.
I think for Cena, I'd like Gunther. I think that would work for Mania. Still have
Cena versus
have Gunther going after that 17th title against Gunther could be cool.
I hate to say it. I just don't think John has the big match
I don't think so.
Matches in him anymore. So I don't think necessarily anything.
That being said, he's going to be working more regularly. Like you see wrestlers say about it's harder when you're doing the one every now and then because your body gets kind of stiffer and things. And maybe if he's working pretty much the full calendar year, he might loosen up a little bit. Who knows?
We'll see. But yeah, like again, this will lead into War Games, which is big, and then post War Games, we're going into like New Year with Royal Rumble, and then WrestleMania. Like they're just full nonstop, just going and going. So
yeah, I really feel this is the last hurdle before things like really start picking up. Because once this show's over, there's some big stuff. We got Survivor Series, we got Saturday night's main event, we got Netflix, Rumble, all that stuff, which is exciting. But
yeah,
it was funny back in the day. It used to be Triple H would spend all this time building these stories and plans, and then Vince would just go, "Oh, that guy, he's fired. I'm having this fun," and it's like, well, fuck. Now it feels like Triple H has this big plan, and then The Rock's like, and I'm gonna wrestle that one. It's like, fuck. Okay, right. Well, we got to move everything around for Dwayne, but.
I thought it should. Yeah, you know what though? He's the needle mover, because they advertised on tonight's episode of NXT, and I noticed this from just a day or two ago. They have uploaded a majority of the matches. They've isolated the matches from WrestleMania 40, and they've put it for free on their YouTube channel in honor of WrestleMania 41 going on sale. And they even uploaded the main event of night 1 featuring The Rock, which got like 1 million views in like just a few hours. And then they put up the main event with Roman and Cody, which, mind you, like almost got up to 1 million as well. But like it shows that like they just uploaded WrestleMania main event from night 1 now.
Aren't they doing it from like different angles as well? Like you're hearing shit they're saying.
It's just The Rock swearing for the whole hour-long match. I swear they didn't do a lockup for like 20 minutes in that match, but what a WrestleMania it was. So pretty cool that they do that, because that's how you get your like non-fans or your casuals to really like dive in and clip on to like, oh, wait a second, The Rock's wrestling. Oh shit. And then they watch it, they go, wait, what's the bloodline? And then they watch all that. They watch those videos, and that's how you get fans back hooked into it. But yeah, The Rock is definitely wrestling at WrestleMania, but I think he shows up maybe again. His gimmick is he just shows up and then he waves, or what? He puts his hand up. He never knows how to do the bloodline thing right. He's putting up the 3, he's putting up the 2, the 1. It's all leading to something, Davey.
Yes.
Big thing. But plan. There's a bigger match that truly for me is the WrestleMania of AEW. And we didn't do this on purpose, but I'm just going to lie and say that I'm booked my flight to Full Gear AEW because I need to see the Costco guys, Big Boom AJ with Big Justice, of course, hopefully the Rizzler, taking on QT Marshall in the Battle of New Jersey in the Prudential Center. Oh my God, I cannot wait. Oh, I've never been more excited to witness a live wrestling match in my entire life.
I feel AEW is becoming more like WWE back in the day, just jumping on a fad like months after it's fucking dead.
So they got some great
public. Yeah, I'm going to be in the bar still for this.
This is the only time I'll ever go to a pre-show for AEW. I don't think we've ever actually made it to a final. What do they call those? Final hours? I don't even know because I've never watched.
0 hour. Yeah.
0 hour final hour. 0 hour. Yeah. This is the only way you'll get me inside. And I might be the only one cheering for the Costco guys, but trust me, you'll hear me. You'll hear me that Saturday night. I'm going to lose it for these guys. I've just I swear my girlfriend may kill me if I reference the Costco guys anytime. I've seen some costumes online for these guys as well that have looked great, but now you're going to see them wrestle. And they were on.
What costume are you doing?
No, the people have been some great ones. You wear the hat, the shirt, the cookie, the chicken bake.
Terrible,
I gotta try it. Someone bring me a chicken bake at the Prudential Center. They should be selling them outside with those cookies. But they got AEW publicity on the Tonight Show on NBC last night, where Jimmy Fallon, who wanted nothing to do with these people, who was just like, oh my God, I don't know who booked this, but why are you on the Tonight Show? Which I thought was hilarious. But they promoted Full Gear on an NBC product, so that's pretty cool. So I think that's the biggest publicity they've ever had for one of their pay-per-views. I never see their 8 wrestlers on TV on shows like that promoting their wrestling, and that could probably be one of their problems, actually. But here is the Costco guys doing the job for AEW that they couldn't do themselves. So I'm fucking excited, fucking ready. Someone get me a chicken bake. Yeah. You see, like I'm a Canadian, and I just love America. God bless America, that a son and his child can have a popular TikTok page where they eat food. It's the America you need to vote for this upcoming election, people. Okay, don't let them take away your freedoms.
Right. Well, you know how you can help Braden buy a chicken bake, and that's signing up to our Patreon, patreon.com/Poisonrana. This week we have so many shows, and we're being really generous this week because we're giving WWE put up those WrestleMania 40 matches for free. Well, we're putting up stuff for free as well. Starting right on Monday, yesterday, Braden, you recorded a brand new episode of The Detox, getting all kinds of spooky with Jordan Goodman.
Yes. We have lots of free shows. Obviously, Shot in the Dark, free every Thursday. Cena filling you in 15 minutes or less on wrestling. But Jordan Goodman and I recorded a show yesterday, a new Detox. I tried to get Jordan to talk about ghosts. He really wasn't about it. So I really squeezed the spiritual talk out of him as we talk about all sorts of things, spookies, vampires, Jack the Ripper, aliens, of course, and the elections. And Jordan even does a little bit of a sing-along. So it was a great little free random show to pass your time when you need it. But then a new What Up Doe is going to be dropping in a few days as well with Sino and Beat
tomorrow.
Detroit.
Yeah, they're going to be recording this tomorrow. Again, all in the spooky spirit. I believe they've seen Terrifier 3 starring Chris Jericho. I finally got to see Terrifier 1 the other day. I'm a little bit behind. But as always, talking about pop culture, video games, hip-hop, movies, TV, and I'm sure it's going to be very, very horror heavy as we're moving towards Halloween.
Yes, I know they'll definitely be talking about all the scary stuff that they've been getting into this Halloween season. So there you go. Lots and lots of shows. That's on the free feed, as well as our Halloween H2O review for this Halloween, as well as Poison Rana this Sunday live at 2 p.m. So lots and lots of free shows. But if you do like what you hear, patreon.com/Poisonrana, $5 a month gets you access to become a friend, to access hundreds of shows, including this month alone is worth the $5. It means pennies per podcast. We just dropped Best Match Ever, Abyss, talking all about his career, the monster in TNA. We looked through matches against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, and the list goes on. Monsters Ball, of course. We thought Abyss is getting his flowers finally in WWE as a producer, so we thought we'd go back and look at his in-ring career. And keeping on the TNA train, because we just did Best Match Ever, Motor City Machine Guns, who just won the tag titles, so shout out to them. So some great wrestling pods, as well as our Halloween Havoc 1995 review, which was abysmal. So you want to hear us tortured. That's the show for you. Cause boy, that one broke us down. It broke me for sure. I don't ever want to watch monster trucks ever again. And now I have a fear of Yetis or mummies. I'm not quite sure. And then on top of that, we talked all about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So look at all, these are just some of the shows that we have on our feed. And if you go through the catalog there, you can look on Spotify. If you search Poison Rana Patreon, you can see all the different wrestling reviews, movie reviews that we've done. And we appreciate all the love out there to our patrons, because we've been getting some love this spooky season and really, really do appreciate it. So $5 to access, even if you just want one of those shows. $5 gets you all of them.
Gets you so much. It's less than you'd spend on candy this Halloween.
Yeah, come on, $5 and you get access to a whole month of shows there and everything that we've ever done in there. So lots and lots of shows, and we've covered so many horror movies and wrestling events and Halloween Havocs, etc. So go through, because there will be a podcast in that archive for you. And then last plug, I swear, I'm sorry, but shout out to anyone who already purchased a Lucha Frog of Doom. See what I did there? From chop-tees.com/Poisonrana. Yes, the Lucha Frog of Doom merch line, the merch drop has indeed dropped. Go check it out. We got a design here, which is just great, from our boy Alec, who did a fantastic job with this design. He took it to a whole other level. Got a shout out, Alec Hugill, who designs a lot of wrestling shirts for different wrestlers in the game today. And wow, I'm just so impressed with this artwork. And then Dickie putting it all over t-shirts and hats and hoodies and everything. Crew necks, man, Dickie went like above and beyond with this. The graphic looks awesome. I'm going to order a few myself, but appreciate anyone who bought some already. It's so fucking cool. So if you go to wrestling events, definitely rock your Poisonrana gear, and please send in photos if you do purchase, because we'd love to share them there. But yeah, please go check out this design because it's so rad. Really,
yeah,
rad.
They're awesome. I can't wait to get one of those pink crew necks for as we're getting a little cooler in the city. But I think that's enough chit chat. Shall we get into some NXT talk?
Oh yeah.
All right, NXT from October 29th, 2024. And we start with a recap of Halloween Havoc. However, the recap is very quickly interrupted by Tatum Paxley, who's dragging a casket to the ring and says she's going to take Wendy for a ride. And we go immediately to the casket match. Tatum Paxley, was this Andre the Giant's casket? This thing was huge.
This is a very big casket. Yes. Was this for Yoko or whoever else, Kamala, that Taker had casket matches with?
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty wild. We kind of saw her get put in the case, which then I guess kind of signaled that there would be caskets involved. So that's how we got to this. But they mentioned on commentary, Vic Joseph saying that this is the second ever NXT casket match, first ever WWE women's casket match in history here tonight, which makes me want to ask you, Davie, put your thinking cap on. What was the first NXT casket match?
I wouldn't have got this, but they did say it on commentary, and it was Grayson Waller versus Apollo Crews.
We definitely did a show on that. Probably
was that last year or the year before?
2 years ago,
yeah.
But like gun to my head, I would have not gotten that.
No. And and they said it's the third casket match not involving Undertaker or Kane.
Right.
So yeah, history being made today.
History.
So Tatum brings out the casket. Wendy Choo comes out dressed as the Corpse Bride here. Nightmare on Elm Street a bit of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Kind of thing going on.
Wendy's definitely dressed as Sally from Nightmare, but she's got like the face paint and the whole stockings and everything. It looked pretty good. But then Tatum was dressed as, I thought she was going for like a WCW Daphne vibe or some sort of Sailor Moon character, but I think maybe Alice in Wonderland was what she was aiming for. But I like that it's not Halloween Havoc, but it's still like a few days before Halloween. So costumes are still allowed.
Yes.
Like, if you went out on this weekend, costumes are allowed. But if you go out next weekend, they're also still allowed. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. So best time of the year.
So Wendy comes out carrying a bed to the ring. Right away, we get Tatum trying to German suplex Wendy off the apron into the casket, but this gets blocked. She jumps off the casket platform with the somersault senton, taking out Wendy, and then puts a trash can on Choo's head and then starts whacking it with the kendo stick. There's this, we saw her debut this the other week, this kind of reverse angle slam, almost like a torture rack angle slam.
Yeah, very lucha move here. We've seen a lot of people do that.
Onto Wendy. Wendy then puts Tatum in the Tree of Woe with the trash can on her head and drop kicks it. And then after the commercial break, hip tosses Tatum Paxley through a doll's house, which has been set up in the corner, which gets the first holy shit chance of the evening. And the CW don't censor this quite as well as USA did, because this was just silence forever. And I was checking my feed and then I was, oh, no, it's just the crowd is swearing here.
I also watched a CW feed tonight, and I just knew that was the reason why, because as soon as the dollhouse spot happened, it just got quiet. And I was like, I bet you they're chanting. And then the audio comes back for a sec. I'm like, oh, okay. Because it happened again later in the night.
It happened a bunch tonight. It was quite annoying.
Yeah.
They're then playing tug of war with a pillow, and Wendy snatches it off of her, smacks Paxley over the head with it, and opens it up to reveal a bunch of Lego bricks. And then Wendy hits the full Nelson slam, kind of like the move Test used to do, here onto the Lego. And we get a picture-in-picture of William Regal giving some advice to Lexis King. We then go to Wendy, who tries to trap Paxley in the casket and hits a sleepy elbow drop into the casket. And as she hits it, the momentum causes the door of the casket to slam shut. And Vic is covering this, saying, no, you need to be the person to slam the casket. It isn't a draw. The match continues. They both sit up and recreate Lesnar and Undertaker from SummerSlam, where they both just look at each other and laugh. And then Wendy tries to put Paxley in the sleeper hold, but Paxley gets a fire extinguisher and blasts Wendy in the face with it, which sends her crashing through the bed that was set up at ringside. And then Paxley picks up Wendy, throws her in the casket, slams the lid shut, and wins.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching Halloween Havoc, and I'm pretty sure it was the main event with the bag of nuts and bolts, which me and you were like, even Lego would be better than that. A few days later, here we have Lego in a hardcore match on NXT, and it's women using it too. So, you know, I'd say this hurts more than nuts and bolts a whole lot. Like, I felt the pain. You've all stepped on a Lego, and it's not fun. So I always love a good Lego spot. I hear Lego actually doesn't like when they see this, so maybe they'll get a little angry there.
Well, they didn't call them Lego, did they?
They did. Yeah, they did.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Book right away. I was like, yo, that's Legos. Like, and Vic was like, yeah.
Because there was was it DDT that got in trouble with the Lego, and they had to use Duplo or something else? Yeah.
Oh, Mega Blocks.
Yeah.
Wow, soft. I love seeing this in this match. I actually thought this was pretty fun, considering like how silly and dumb this storyline has been. Like, I don't know really why they are feuding when they were friends, and they're feuding and they're hanging out in the under realms with Rosemary and TNA. I don't know. I don't really follow. But when it came to the match, it was fun. Minus the fact that they're slamming each other like onto the bed. That was the finish. Like, that's the softest weapon. I know
it was the mattress was off the bed. It was like on the frame of the bed.
It looked like there was a mattress right underneath it. At least that's what I saw. So I was like, what did you actually break there?
It's one of the things I do find with a lot of these NXT matches is the weapons just don't look violent at all. And they're fun, they're goofy, they fit the gimmick, but it often feels like when you're a kid and play wrestling and you put your friend through a little fake plastic table and that kind of thing. So yeah, and the finish didn't feel that devastating to lead to the end.
The dollhouse should have been the finish.
The dollhouse got the biggest reaction for sure, but I still thought it was pretty fun between these two. I think Tatum's come quite a long way in ring. But yeah, it still kind of has that glossy shine on it, which I really want to get away from in the more of the hardcore matches in NXT.
Yeah, like I know this was more of your Halloween Havoc Fallout match here, like a hangover edition, because it's like they're dressed in Halloween costumes, they're having a Halloween gimmicked match essentially, and they're spooky and everything. But I thought it was a lot better than maybe I expected it to be. So I had fun watching it. These women went out there and were beating each other up, and they used Lego, so good on them. But from here, I don't really want to see this anymore.
I think of some like Buried Alive matches and Casket matches, and it often leads to some sort of character transformation. And I think I was hoping for something a bit more definitive, where maybe when we get Wendy Choo back, she's slightly different.
Yeah,
character,
she's finally she's put in this casket here, and now Wendy's finally going to have some time to sleep. And maybe that's all she really needed.
Maybe that's all she needed. Yeah, she even took a bed to the ring, didn't she? She just wanted a nap.
Like, you ever have like a bad day or a few bad days, and you're like, oh, I've just been working too much. I'm just so tired. I just need some sleep. It's probably what happened to her. It's
been like every day for the last
day of my 30 years, actually. Yeah. No, but like maybe that they're onto something. You're like, maybe she has a nap and she wakes up like on the right side of bed. Like, oh, I've just been mean to people.
Yeah.
Is that what that feels like? Huh. Wow.
Yeah. Trick Williams comes out, and this time when Trick gets the ring, he continues to do the Booker chants. He's going, what? Yeah, I like it, all that. And he says he went to Halloween Havoc, went to the Devil's Playground, bathed in holy water, and beat Ethan Page, but he ain't playing. He says Page said
he's not what? Sorry?
He ain't playing.
Right.
Page said he was going to put him through a lot of pain, and he felt that. But he didn't tell me about Ridge, so let's talk about it. And he says, one reason I'm not in the hospital is Bubba Ray Dudley. So come on out here, Bubba. I know you're back there. So Bubba comes out, Trick thanks him, and Bubba says it wasn't about you. It was about Ridge and his disrespect towards me, to Dave LaGreca, my radio show. He was so disrespectful. But I was looking at the back, wondering why no one came to save you. Do you know why that was? And he points to the championship. He says, that's why. That's a target on your back. And Trick wants revenge. And Trick suggests a tag match in the ECW arena. And it will be him with Bubba taking on Ridge and Ethan Page. Excuse me. And Bubba says, look, I've known you about 3 minutes, but you've got my juices flowing. You got me thinking about Philadelphia, the ECW arena, thinking about lacing the boots again, thinking about going extreme, and thinking about getting the camo back out, or even old school with the tie-dye. And then he pulls out his glasses, puts them on, and he says, you got me thinking going Trick. 1, 2, 3. And the whole crowd goes, get the tables. But Trick, it's not about me. It's about you and every other wrestler in the dressing room who does it better than anyone. And I can't take that spot. And I appreciate the offer, but I have to say no. And Bubba leaves.
Yeah. Kind of weird, but we suspected that that's the direction they were going to go to with the tag match following the kind of weird ending for Halloween Havoc. So to have him say like, no, spoiler, for only us to inevitably get the match, it's like, why did this show doesn't have an overrun anymore and a lot more commercials, it seems. Maybe do this in a backstage segment. I felt like we didn't need to drag it out and continue talking about like, oh yeah, he really was. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't love this part of the story of the show, but like, I'm not even that mad, I guess, that we're getting Bubba Ray wrestling. Like, cool. Why not? It's in the ECW arena. I can get over that, but it's just like, he's literally talking about like, yeah, I don't want to take someone else's spot. You kind of did twice today. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it almost felt like this was there because there has been fan criticism about this is supposed to be the developmental brand, and you're getting Bubba Ray Dudley wrestling a match and that sort of stuff. I enjoyed the promo. The crowd were into it. I liked his stuff about, bringing back the camo or the tie-dye. I hope it is the tie-dye. I'd like that.
Oh, I love that. I love the camo. The tie-dye would be great. The glasses, of course, he had on later.
You know what's also interesting, though, is I don't really remember Bubba cutting that many promos in WWE, like as a solo guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he did. I mean, he had his very famous and infamous promos in ECW back in the day, but I'd say he was the talker for the group, obviously.
He was the talker for the group, but not to the level we've seen him in like TNA and ROH since WWE, right? As like more of this bully character, which I know he's coming out as Bubba Ray. But he comes across more as bully in a way, right?
I could be wrong. I think he even used one of his Bully Ray TNA catchphrases. Like, who is it? Like, do you know who you are, or something like that? I forget what it is, but he did say he did say the thing, because you weren't there, Davey, when he was world champion.
Yeah, I didn't mind this so much. I know what you mean. It's a little bit of a weird tease, but I guess it's to get to the end of the show.
I would have just much rather them do this, and he's like, nah, and then Ridge and Ethan come out and be like, oh, you're scared of us, and then they beat him up, and then he's like, nah, fuck it, I'm wrestling.
Fair enough.
They basically waste our time twice doing the same thing, where I'm like, yeah, we know we're getting that match, come on, got to promote Busted Open. So
we then go backstage and we see Ava, who says to someone off camera, I think they'd have been a good tag team. You have history with him, right? And it's RVD. And he says, yep, Bubba may not want to be part of the show. Bubba may not want to take a spot from someone, but I don't give a fuck. I will. I'm Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
It's essentially what he said here.
He did say that, and then like it never he's not wrestling next week, so he's not taking someone's spot. But initially it's like, yeah, all right. But no one would argue. Like everyone pick Rob over Bully, and instead we're seeing Bully wrestle next week, and Rob probably being the ref is what I imagine we're getting next week. But always cool to see Rob, and we've seen him a few times on AEW, so to see him kind of back over here, like he's looking great. He's doing his thing. He's wearing his glasses. Thank God he's wearing a t-shirt on while he's driving, and just I'm kind of excited. I'm happy that he's here. He's always a fun.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a unique deal right now, hasn't he? Where he can work AEW dates and he's still a legend in WWE as well and can do stuff there too.
Yeah, and he's still a legend in my eyes. He's a legend still a lot of people. And it's always cool if he comes back and having him for a show, especially at the ECW arena, like makes a whole lot of sense. So, of course, I smiled when I see RVD, and I'll definitely be lighting one up for him next week.
Kalani Jordan comes in and says she wants a one-on-one rematch against Fallon Henley when Nikita Lyons interrupts and says, "You want a rematch, but you lost. Fallon needs a new challenger," and says that's her. So Lani says she'll take care of Nikita first and then Fallon. And that's a match set up for later tonight, essentially a number one contenders match between the two.
Right. Yeah. And like Nikita's, again, kind of in that heel territory we've kind of seen, and we'll definitely get to a bit later, but we assume she was taking a heel position.
Mm-hmm. We see Brooks Jensen with Sean Spears, and Spears is saying, look, there's a new North American champion, so that means new number one contender. So how about we talk to him? And they approach Tony D'Angelo, but immediately get interrupted by Luca Crucifino and Stax, who says that someone's on the phone for Tony. So they tell Brooks and Spears to get lost, and someone's chatting on the phone in an Italian accent and says, "Oh, you're going to Philly and you're not letting me know?" And he says that the title looks good on him. And as they hang up, they're like, "Wait, that was it?" "Yeah, it was. We'll take care of him next week." So they're letting you hang for about 30 seconds on, who was on the phone? And then Vic Joseph just goes, "Wow, that was Nunzio on the phone."
Okay, watching, I did. I mean,
we all figured out, that's Nunzio, but thought they were maybe leaving it a little open-ended, and Vic's just like, it's Nunzio. I could tell that voice from anywhere.
I think he legit goes, "Hey, was that Nunzio?" It's like, oh, Vic, you really just let everyone know. I guess they wanted to let you know, and not hit it over the head. I don't know. I guess so. But I mean, who else could it be? Who else was in the FBI? We had Tony Mamaluke versus Tony D'Angelo. That's something you could do. But I would like to see Nunzio, Lil Guido, right? That's Nunzio. Yeah. Oh man, we kind of and this one was so easy to put together. If NXT and ECW were to do some sort of show, the FBI and the D'Angelo family in the same segment. I did like the joke, like, "Hey, you think you can do business in Philly without letting me know?" I had to find out from our cousin Vinny or something like that. So expect full-blooded Italian shenanigans next week, which could kind of sounded like, "Hey, you better bring that title," meaning you're going to wrestle. So maybe Tony D'Angelo is going to put the title on the line.
Maybe. I'm looking at Full-Blooded Italian's Wikipedia page right now, and
maybe Vito will come out in his dress.
They're like wrestling still quite a bit. They've been in TNA this year. They were at WrestleCon. They were at MLW. It's always Little Guido, mainly with Tommy Rich, but apparently Deonna Purrazzo is part of the family now.
Oh, hell yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Wow. I'm kind of down. I love ECW, and even doing silly stuff like this, this makes total sense. So Italian's going to be eating good next Wednesday night, because this is, as far as we know, not a dream match, but like a dream, meeting of the mafioso minds of the full-blooded Italians and the family. I'm not even Italian, but I'm pretty excited. So
we then go to our rounds match for the Heritage Cup. Lexis King comes out, and I love this little touch here. Regal sitting on the throne, King Regal, for King's entrance here. It was pretty nice.
Yes. Remember, he had a throne.
Yeah.
He had a great throne.
King of the Ring.
Underrated King of the Ring.
And Charlie Dempsey, obviously, with the no quarter catch crew. We go to round 1, and there's a beautiful leg pick from Dempsey. Some pretty nice mat wrestling between the two. Some pinning attempts. The kind of going back and forth with the bridge, the backslide. And then Lexis leaps over him in the corner and kind of offers his knee, but then gets smacked in the face. And then there's a springboard high cross from Lexis, but gets caught with the Northern Lights with the bridge from Dempsey for the first fall. We go into round 2, and there's these like wrist lock throws from Dempsey, which I thought looked pretty cool. King's coming back with some monkey flips, and as Lexis goes to the outside, his knee buckles, and he's favoring his knee as we go to commercial break. We come back and we see Lexis valiantly fighting through the pain, and he hits a super kick to Dempsey as the bell goes, and then Regal comes over to him with the bucket. He's giving him water, patting him down as we go to round 3.
They showed during the commercial that he was leaving, that they tried to like get him to leave the match because he hurt his leg, and he's like talking to Regal, and then he talks him out of it. So then he goes back, and then when we come back, it shows that he's like still fighting. So they're doing a great job of baby facing.
Oh yeah,
Lexis King here.
We go to round 3, and Dempsey's just delivering these gut-wrench suplexes, fisherman suplexes. There's a half Boston crab just putting pressure on that injured knee, and Regal's urging Lexis to get to the ropes. Lexis starts firing back with these stiff slaps to the neck, but then gets Irish whipped, and his knee buckles again, and then Dempsey's just targeting the knee. And we see William Regal slide the brass knuckles to King. But King gives them back and says, "I am not my father," and turns around into a beautiful German suplex with the bridge. And Charlie Dempsey wins 2-0 in 3 rounds.
He tried to do the right thing, and he ended up losing. You see that, kids?
Yeah.
See what the moral of the story here is? You try to do the right thing in life, it might not help you out in the end. William Regal tried to cheat for the guy who's facing his son. William Regal, the true villain, has no bounds being a villain. He'll do anything. But it adds a little wrinkle into this story, and it's almost like AEW is canon. With if you know that, it adds even more wrinkles because you're like, dude, I would not trust this guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And again, bravo, like hats off, flowers, applause for whoever came up with the storyline to actually make me interested in Lexis King, even just a little bit.
Yeah,
so, I love the wrestling was pretty good in this. I mean, I love Dempsey, Regal Jr. Like we always say nice things about him. I love the no quarter catch group, but I think the little project here right now is having King doing this storyline. Like eventually he's got to crack and turn into the Pillman that we kind of thought he would be. I don't know where it's going with all this stuff, but again, it kind of has me.
I prefer this, and I kind of hope he doesn't go back because his wrestling is better because of it. Like I thought he showed so much more fire in this, and was actually like going at it pretty nicely with Dempsey, who's a very competent wrestler. And maybe it was the heel gimmick kind of holding him back a bit in ring wise, kind of trying to wrestle with a heel and not be too flashy or whatever. I don't know, but he's definitely improved. I don't know if you noticed, but his beard wasn't as obnoxious this week. It's still shaped, but it's more his natural beard color and not the dye job he's been getting. So definitely toning it down.
Yeah, you're sporting a bit of a beard lately. Maybe you should, last minute Halloween costume, Lexis King. Beard like that. What would you look like with? What would either of us look like? He should have an app that like AIs his beard onto anyone's face.
I feel mine's not like thick enough to do that kind of styling with.
No, you go to his barber. He'll show you.
Okay.
He'll line you up fresh.
All right. I've already spent enough on my costume this year. I'm not flying to Florida to get a trim.
You could save a trip. Just use a Sharpie. just line it up.
Okay.
It looks like he does that a little bit with that. But you're right. Now that he's a baby face, he's not like over the top greasy looking.
We go to our next match. Zaria making her debut, taking on Brynlee Reese. What did you think of Zaria's entrance here?
Yeah, pretty cool. Kind of reminded me of Sheamus, where it's like so much bright white lights
that
I can almost barely see you at first. And then when it kind of comes into proper focus or tones down, you see like she's got like face paint on and looks scary. I already love the presentation from what we've seen of her. Like as soon as you see this like jacked, scary looking woman with face paint on and you're like, yeah, she's the new wrestler from Australia. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. What, like, this looks great. And she definitely showed what she can do here. And I think this from the beginning of this to like the whole segment afterwards was some fun stuff here on NXT. But first impressions, this Delta, now known as Zaria, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. Like she passes the airport test. You know, I mean, maybe she wouldn't walk through an airport with her face paint on, but like she looks like Vic Joseph, which was just a kind of an odd comment from WWE, even says that she would face men and women and beat everybody in Australia, which I thought was fun that they got to mention that. So shout out to all the Aussies. I'm sure they're cheering and supporting for Zaria.
So I was watching this with my roommate, and we did the over under 3 minutes, and I was like, oh, it's going to be definitely under 3 minutes, this match. And Zaria made quite easy work of Brynlee Reese. Brynlee starts the match by slapping her, and Zaria just floors her with this big clothesline and then starts bending her arm back and like lifts her up by the arm. And then we see Brynlee's arm, and she's acting like her elbow has dislocated and she's cowering in the corner. So Zaria grabs it and just punches it at the joint to kind of snap it back into place, delivers these stiff shoulders in the corner, a backbreaker. Brynlee tries to fight back with some forearms, and then this really annoyed me. She tries her honor roll, the kind of flipping clothesline. She's just broken her arm. She's just dislocated her arm. Better do a front handspring off my arm.
Yeah, I mean, it's her move. It's wrestling. So
okay, but there's fight, you know, when your leg's done and you're like hobbling around on your legs, you kind of need your legs. You don't need to do a front flip on your hand.
I know what you mean, but like, look at the
she's
last
like
match.
Doing this, and then she's like, whoop.
Like the last match, it's Lexis King's knee, and then he hits like super kicks and stuff. You're like, all right, well.
But it's more like desperation. I don't know. I thought this was like, let's pause selling and just do this front. It looked stupid, I thought. And then Zaria just picks her up and hits the F5.
Well, she hits a big spear. Like she just clotheslines her out of air, out of that honor roll, and then hits a running spear and the F5. And like you said, this was done very, very quickly here. I liked the arm spot. They like we've seen this with Alexa Bliss. Yeah, where like the arm looks as if it's like actually bent, and I think that puts something into perspective of like, hey, look how dangerous and scary this specific like monstrous woman is. So it added a little things different, and then also like a good spear. I thought she really cleared her with that one, and then I mean, the F5 is up for grabs, so why not use it? I mean, it's not really a move that's being used on WWE TV, so bring it back. I mean, if you go to an indie show in your local town, you'll see it like 5 times in a night. But I thought she made a good debut here of just, you needed this. You needed her to just squash someone and kind of show her dominance. But again, first impression, I'm like, yeah, this woman like looks like the whole complete package for a WWE superstar.
Yeah, no, I thought she looked great here. And that's not it, because after the match, Fallon Henley and Fatal Influence come out. They're coming through the crowd and says, you stole our moment, so we're here returning the favor. And we don't care that you're new here. We're going to show that you don't mess around with Fatal Influence. And then Roxanne and Cora Jade come out and congratulate Fallon on her win of the North American Championship, and says, we want to introduce Zaria to the NXT women's division. So you've got all 5 women surrounding Zaria when Kalani runs into the ring to stand up for Zaria. And then Stephanie Vaquer and Julia come out And Cora says, well, it's still 4-5, and that's good for us. When holla if you hear me, Jordynne Grace runs out. So we got 5-on-5, and they all start to brawl, and the baby faces stand tall at the end. And we do get, you have Zaria and Jordynne Grace in a co-military press slam to Roxanne, sending her on top of everyone on the outside. But we do get it confirmed that next week is a 5-on-5 match with all 10 of these women.
Wow, look at this. Look at this roster right here. Look at the ring of like talented professional wrestlers right here. I mean, if the team of Vaquer and Julia wasn't enough for you, you've now added Kalani standing in the ring with her and Zaria, and now Jordynne Grace, Miss Papa Pump. I don't know if that's what she calls herself, but yeah, like just the visual of like seeing this as a team is like, wow, okay. It's almost like Survivor Series when all of a sudden you're like, wait, all of these people are going to be wrestling on the same team.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So a little bit of like a weird dream match setup here for some fans who do like kind of follow. And even if you don't, you just look at that visual like, whoa, this looks pretty cool. So this segment was pretty great.
Visually really makes you realize how stacked this women's division is here. And
yeah, I mean, you're going to get Roxanne tangling with all of her rogues gallery in one match, essentially. Then you got Fatal Influences, specifically Fallon. I'd like to see tie up with Grace, with Zaria, with all of them. So yeah, this actually, like, you have a lot of you have sprinkled in your wrestling internet nerds, like, you know, favorites here, but then you sprinkling in the NXT women in this match too. So I think this could be a bit of a perfect storm. And I mean, to just jump ahead, if this visual wasn't enough for you, then we go backstage later where this whole team is standing around talking, and Rhea Ripley shows up, and it's like looking at that visual, like Zaria, Rhea, Jordynne Grace, like they're just units here. And this segment was just a little tip of the hat reminder to everyone. Yeah, we do have the best women's roster in all of professional wrestling. This was a little bit of a like stamp on that, like, hey, don't forget about us. Look at this, because this was just showing off with Jordynne Grace coming in here. Like, wow, crazy. So really looking forward to this match next week.
Absolutely. We then get Nikita Lyons dressed as a pirate taking on Kalani Jordan, and she's doing Nikita Lyons was a pirate. No,
at first I thought it was a pirate. It was totally a pirate, but for like a split second I thought it was like animated 90s Beast from Beauty and the Beast, like Disney's Beauty and the Beast, because
like when he turns back into a human and he's got
she had like the coat
flowing,
and like the hair.
Okay.
I was like, yo, that'd be pretty sick actually, but it was just a pirate.
She's a pirate, and Kalani Jordan is doing the Braden Herrington by recycling last year's Halloween costume.
What is she dressed as? What do you mean?
She's Spider-Gwen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She wore this last year. That's right. Right. Okay. That's okay.
If it works, it works, right?
Yeah. If you look good and you feel good in it, like, recycling costumes is A-okay with me. As long as you feel good and you're having fun and you look good. And Spider-Gwen's a big hit.
Lyons on her entrance is waving around her nunchucks like she's Johnny Hungy waiting for the BCC at the the building.
Where'd she get those? Swinging those around. I walked into a store the other day and they had nunchucks for sale behind the counter, and I went, And I turned around and left. I did not want to be in a store.
I did A Clockwork Orange, the play at school for one of my theater exams, and during one of the scenes, I had nunchucks, and they slipped out my hands because I was sweating, and they flew into the audience and cracked a girl in the face, causing her to bleed.
My God, it's awful.
I got a great grade, so
they're very dangerous.
I don't really care. Yeah, they're very dangerous.
They were very illegal here, I thought, as well. But I don't know, I saw them in the store the other day. So.
Yeah, you can get anything in Florida. Yeah. Kalani hits a handspring elbow in the corner, and then there's a running splash for a 2 count. Both do the drop down splits. It's a bit of anything you can do, I can do better. And then there's this big twisting throw from Nikita, which looked pretty nice, just like flying Kalani here. Kalani comes back with her RVD-esque step over kick, And then Nikita climbs up to the top to hit her Vader splash when Rizzo shows up, takes her earrings off, and Nikita looks all kind of distracted, goes to the Vader bomb but misses it, and then Kalani hits the one-of-the-kind moonsault for the win. So yes, Rizzo kind of confirming what we all expected, that it was Nikita that took her out last week.
Yeah, it was very like SmackDown versus Raw video game where she comes out middle of the match, points, "It was you. You attacked me." And then I did appreciate, bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up. But first, let me take my earrings off. Let me take these off. I always love that. So yeah, we suspected this was what was gonna happen with Nikita and Oba finding her coat and all those things. But yeah, but giving Kalani the win as well, like maybe moving her away from the North American title, but into possibly the other title down the line. So
I think Kalani's going to get her rematch with Fallon after this 10 woman, because she said she still wanted that match, and we didn't get that fair one-on-one, and I'd like to see it. I think there's enough people tangling up with Roxanne right now where I think she can have a bit of a proper one-on-one feud with Fallon.
Yeah, like a proper one-on-one match, because it was a 3-on-1 essentially.
So Ethan Page then comes out saying his NXT title picture isn't over, and Ridge comes out and says, look, you've had shot after shot after shot. Trick survived Halloween Havoc, but it won't be like that much longer. And Trick knows it, and that's why he tried to get Bubba Ray to do his dirty work. And Bubba Ray made the best decision of his life by turning it down. And we hear the missile going down again, and the Dudley Boys music as Bubba comes out and says, I think it's time that me and you have a little talk. Before Halloween Havoc, I didn't know much about you. Now in the past 48, this guy's been in the company for like 6 years at this point, I feel. And doesn't Bubba do a radio show? But he's like, I don't have a fucking clue who you are, mate. But anyway, he says, in the past 48 hours, I've learned a lot about you. You have commanded the conversation on Busted Open Radio. And no matter where I turn, people are talking about Ridge Holland. Not the presidential election. Everyone is talking about Ridge Holland. And he says, I know about you now. You're one hell of a rugby player. You're tough, you're fast, you're agile. And a couple of people smartened me out about you too, that you shattered both your legs and came back after only 8 months. It's respectable, but that's where the respect ends, because you disrespected me, Dave, my radio show, and every wrestling fan, and I don't deal well with respect. Do you know who I am? I'm one half of the greatest mother trucking tag team to walk on God's green earth. I've held more championships than you've ever had championship opportunities. And as far as you getting a shot at the NXT title whenever you deserve it, that's debatable. And then he goes to point to Ego and says, as far as you're concerned, you deserve absolutely nothing. And the NXT universe is going to have to see a hell of a lot more of you if you're going to have a shot at the NXT championship. Ridge tells him that no one cares what he thinks and says that Bubba isn't an active competitor. He's a radio host. He's not in Dudleyville anymore. He's just a nostalgia act. And your stuff wasn't extreme. It was overrated. So go back to your studio and talk about what's wrong with today's superstars. Because if you don't, LaGreca will have to look for a new co-host because you will be in the hospital. And then Paige attacks Bubba from behind. They're all double teaming him when Trick Williams this time runs out for the save. And Bubba says, the match is on.
Yeah. I mean, there was some good stuff in here. Ridge specifically saying like, hey, that Dave might have to find a new radio host because I'll put you in the hospital. I like that. I like him taking shots at another old timer telling wrestlers today how to live and how to do things and stuff. I thought that was a good little dig as well, but it's still just Ridge Holland and Bubba Ray Dudley and NXT. And I'm still just like, it's weird. I'm not really like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens with this match. I'm not feeling that way from this. I'm like, okay, it's cool. It's cute. Bubba is a legend. I'm not knocking that, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I guess.
I mean, it's Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not the most interesting players to be doing it, but
Mhm.
I think for what's essentially a 10-day feud, like I've no problem with it. It's not like this is building up to deadline next month. For hopefully, who knows, after next week. It feels like it's a one and done thing because it's the ECW arena. Like, I don't have much of a problem with it. I did think this was some of the best stuff on the mic that Ridge has done.
That's what I mean.
Sounded pretty good here, and he's not my favorite. He's not the most exciting challenger for Trick, but I didn't mind the segment, and I think it could be fun next week.
Again, I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool. We'll get. I'm surprised it's not a tables match stipulation added to that, but the one thing that really did make me laugh, you kind of said it there, is like, everywhere I go, everyone's talking about Ridge Holland. Like, who? Show me proof here. Fact checking yourself here. What the?
I'm just picturing like Bubba Ray doing groceries with his little shopping cart and just hearing some old women next to him. Did you hear about that Ridge Holland last night?
Yeah, or when you're at your friend's house and his uncle's like, you hear about that Ridge, eh? It's like, no one's fucking
talking about Ridge
Holland. Mate, I barely know who Ridge Holland is. Come on, stop.
Yeah.
Please stop. I know it's wrestling, but that line got me specifically. It's like everyone's been talking about. It's the hottest topic. Is this guy interrupting you for? I mean, this is a smart move because it's ECW arena, Philly, Bubba. I get it, but also great for Busted Open, right? Like this totally like synergy of.
I mean, that's the other thing. You're getting all that promotion for the whole week, right? So
I've also seen some negativity since Sunday. People being like, "Hey, clearly like WWE, they're in WWE's pocket, et cetera, et cetera." And I don't necessarily look at it that way. I think they're, they do fun entertainment wrestling podcasts, and Bubba is a multi-time champion and says here that he's in one of the best tag teams ever. I totally agree with that. So I get why it makes sense. I'm just like, yeah, okay. I'm just already like, can we move on? When we said, hey, imagine some of the great dream matches we could have in the ECW episode of NXT, and it's like, this is the one. It's like, all right, cool.
We go to the babyface women's locker room with Kalani, Delta, Julia, and Zaria. Julia, Stephanie, and Jordan Grace. And they're all just saying which members of the team they want to get their hands on next week. When Rhea Ripley comes in and says, I just wanted to see this team for myself. She was just watching NXT at home and just got in her car and rushed over to the PC because she had to see this team. And she tells them all to blow the bloody roof off and has a little moment with Zaria there, the fellow Aussie. But pretty cool seeing Rhea back.
Yeah, a great moment. I mean, look, Rhea Ripley is someone who had a similar path, like had some buzz from being an Aussie wrestler, comes to NXT, and all these years later, she's a mega star, if not one of the most popular women's star. You know what? She is the most popular women's star in WWE right now. So to have her here kind of looking at the next crop of people coming through, like, a pretty cool little moment here that we got to see, and think of the dream matches there: Grace versus Rhea versus Zaria, Vicaire, Julia, like there's so many there that would be great. There's a potential that these 5 women that we see here, and the other 5 included on the other team, like, are some of the big stars in the next future. Is this the NXT 5 here? I guess you add Roxanne in that really, because she's the real important one too. And I know I'm jumping around here, but with this match announced for next week, and with Roxanne and Fallon and all that kind of being intertwined, we talked about on Sunday how the deadline show with the Iron Survivor is coming up. This is the match right here. Let me lay this out for you. Follow me for a second. Iron Survivor women's title is on the line, with Roxanne defending against Jordan Grace, Vicaire, Julia, and Zaria.
Yeah.
Like those 5 in one match. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Please book it. Shawn Michaels, I know you're cooking. This is the match we need.
Yeah, I think so.
Those 5 in the Iron Survivor match at deadline would be beautiful. So please.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I think it's a great way of also prolonging, in a way, all these different iterations you can have with Rox. We then go to Jada Parker, who says it's like a little video promo here. who says, Lola Vice, you don't know what you're getting into. Your idea of hardcore is different than mine. I will lay you out with whatever weapon I can get my hands on. And Dawn Marie, I don't even know you, but if you get in my way, you will learn what Lola Vice will find out. Jada Parker, don't play. So yes, we've got a hardcore match next week. Lola Vice versus Jada Parker with Dawn Marie as the special guest referee.
Yeah, they played we kind of skimmed over the Lola version. So it was Lola being like, oh, I know hardcore because I fight in cages. And then like in this video, it's Jada being like, that doesn't really when Lola said that, I was like, I don't know if that you fight in a cage, but like this is hard. This is ECW. It's like all weapons and stuff. So and then also Jada being like, I don't even know who you are, Dawn Marie. So it doesn't really matter to me. Great Photoshop they did of Dawn Marie on the referee.
That's the ref.
Yeah, another great WWE Photoshop here with a picture from like 04 Dawn Marie just photoshopped onto a woman ref from WWE here. But yeah, but that's pretty cool that like we're seeing that. So we haven't seen Dawn Marie in like forever. I know there's been things with her and stuff. So clearly they've solved some issues. But yeah, I'm interested in that.
Francine also confirmed on X that she'll be attending the show next week. So maybe we'll get something from Francine.
I mean, she was at the ECW arena when we were there just a few months ago, and she looked great. She was like interacting, and I don't know if she took a bump or anything, but she was like a big part of.
No, that was Enzo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We still never listened to that CD.
Yeah, one day. We see Stevie Turner, Robert Stone.
That's Mr. Stone to you.
Sorry, Mr. Stone and Ava, and they're just bickering. Stevie Turner's just awful. She's just so mean to Robert Stone.
It's like enough. Is it not enough, Shawn? You do some great things, WWE, Shawn Michaels, but is it not enough you torture us with Ava, but you also now add that she also has assistants to the assistant, and all they do is fight and argue all the time?
What's annoying is it's not going anywhere. Like Stevie Turner, I'm not sure why she's not wrestling. Robert Stone isn't managing, and it doesn't feel like we're going anywhere near like a Team Stone v Team Stevie or anything like that. They're just annoying segments, and I thought it would lead to somewhere by now, but it's been going on far too long, and I think this is just it. They're like just characters in this show that they don't have any wrestling roles for them because they can't, I don't know. And so they just have this annoying segment backstage.
The fact that it won't lead it to anything because it's like they're not, I don't know. Yeah.
But anyway, they're interrupted because there's a commotion at the back and they run outside and Rhea Ripley has been attacked and she's by her car and she's bleeding from the mouth. There's blood on her face. So who attacked Rhea Ripley?
Well, we saw who attacked Rhea Ripley.
Did we?
Yeah. The camera passed them first, and then it went to...
Oh, I completely missed that.
The camera walked right by Raquel and Liv Morgan with the bat, and they're laughing, and then the camera like goes right past them, and then you just see... Rhea looked like she was in a car accident. She was covered in blood here. I mean, Rhea, you went to NXT. You know the rules here. The street lights go off. The NXT parking lot, no matter if it's Florida, Hershey, Pittsburgh, Philly, doesn't matter. Wherever. The NXT parking lot is very, very dangerous. So watching NXT and being like, oh, I got to drive over here and see what's happening means you're in the parking lot twice tonight. Possibly alone. You should have known better. But violent beating. This picture of her just covered in blood. Very, very scary.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
It plays into their storyline, right? With
for sure.
Crown Jewel and everything, and they all kind of live down there near NXT, anyways. Yeah. I mean, 3 of these superstars are NXT past superstars, anyway, so I'm sure they all live close by.
Yeah, like I love all the stuff between the brands, like NXT being more part of the whole thing, and it in a way it's kind of. You know, I always find it funny in wrestling. It's like, why have you waited a whole week to sort out your beef with this person? Oh, well, that's next time I see them at work. And it's something I loved about the Hangman Page burning down Swerve Strickland's house was I've been trying to find out where you live the longest time. And then finally you fucked up. You slipped up and you posted that video of you and Prince Nana by your house, and I know where you are. And in a way, it's kind of like this. Like, you just imagine Liv and Raquel watching, they're sitting down, having dinner, watching a bit of NXT, and Rhea Ripley showed up at the PC. Let's go get her.
He's a dead man.
Let's kill her. Yeah.
Yeah, that they've done that on NXT before, right? Where it was Johnny going home. He like leaves to go and stuff like that. Yeah. But I like the synergy between main roster, and it gets fans more excited. That's always been the case in NXT. We do a show called Was Next on our Patreon, and we've been watching NXT from the very beginning. And just think, no matter if there's 100, 200, 300 people in the PC or Full Sail or wherever, whenever you had any main roster stars show up, the crowd are just like, oh my God, these are like characters we're not used to seeing on this show or weren't advertised or etc. So even this little thing, like the crowd themselves never got to see Rhea because she didn't come out, but having this part of the show's storyline is cool, and I always like to see that. And again, this is a big storyline right now with Rhea and everything, and the baseball bat. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Liv will get beat up by Rhea to cost the match on Saturday, right? So.
Yeah, is Rhea flying all the way over to Saudi, or is this maybe a way to write her off so she isn't there to attack her? You know?
Rhea's ringing up AJ. Hey AJ, what flight did you take last year to fly all the way to attack someone? I need a cheap flight. Does anyone have any rings?
Kevin Owens, do you want to slyly sneak into Saudi so we can fuck up some matches?
Yeah, she's gonna pawn off a ring to get a flight to go attack.
That's right. We go to our main event of the evening for the NXT Tag Team Championship. It's AXIOM taking on Cedric Alexander and Javon Evans. There's some nice stuff between Cedric and AXIOM to start with. Cedric goes for the leapfrog, but gets picked out of midair by AXIOM, taken to the mat. And then Frazer's yelling that he wants Javon. So AXIOM tags in Frazer, and Javon comes into the ring as well. And they're just showing off their speed here, just crazy quick stuff. They're doing like the Osprey, Ricochet, Osprey, more like the Osprey Shingo stuff, where you're both flying your kicks at each other.
Right.
One spin heel kick from Javon almost takes Frazer's face off, but he just misses it.
Oh, I loved this exchange here.
Yeah.
So the whole storyline is like they're both baby faces, but Frazer, Randy Orton telling him to be a bit more of a hothead to get further, which then causes him to have more attitude, and then which causes Javon to have more attitude, which leads us to how we got to this match. And then it's Javon who like gets the best of him in like early moments of this match, and then just like completely Randy Orton freaks out on him, like gets in his face, like I was this close, I almost had you. And I love seeing a fired up Javon here. It was great.
Yeah, so Frazer slaps Javon in the face. So Javon takes him to the mat. AXIOM wants the tag, but Frazer wants to continue the attack on Javon. So AXIOM tags himself in, and they kind of get into each other's face here. There's Cedric with the Conhilo to the floor. After the break, Javon is getting all kinds of bouncy. There's a dive to the outside from Cedric, and then a huge springboard clothesline to Frazer from Javon. And he goes for his flipping kick, but gets caught by AXIOM. And then Frazer and AXIOM take Javon down with almost like an avalanche high-low here. There's the blind tag to Cedric, and we get a tandem of power bombs from Evans and Cedric to AXIOM, but Frazer just breaks it up with a drop kick. We then get the springboard cutter from Javon for a 2, and then Cedric hits this huge kick to the chin of AXIOM. This looked crazy, like just taking his face off. AXIOM comes back with the Spanish fly. There's the Phoenix splash from Frazer, which we've seen them win multiple matches with, when Javon leaps off the back to break it up with a cutter to AXIOM.
Oh my God.
Awesome near fall here.
What the hell? You can't even describe this. I had to try to quickly watch this back before recording because I was like, does he Mario stomp Frazer to then jump off the middle rope to then bounce backwards and hit the cutter on AXIOM? If that even attempts to make sense. What the hell, dude? This kid is bouncy, I guess is the right word for him. Holy shit moment here. This guy is going to have a chip on it. Like, since the Randy Orton missed RKO, this guy's going to be like, I'll show you, motherfuckers. I'll show you some shit you ain't never seen before, because I have never seen that before. I don't know what that was, but wow.
This is where we see Wes Lee come out with a chair, and Javon dives to take out Wes, and they're brawling to the back, leaving Cedric in the ring on his own. Cedric blocks the Phoenix Splash, hits a Lombard check to Axiom, Lombard check to Frazer, and then goes for the pin, but it gets broken up. And then we get the Superplex Brainbuster kick combo from Fraxium for the win.
Yeah, they were the Chasing the Dragon finally used as a finisher here. But yeah, awesome match. Easily the best Cedric has looked in a very, very long time. I mean, he's probably in here with 3 of what we call like the fastest superstars in the WWE. And he's probably like, all right, I can't be looking like a slouch against these 3 kids. I got to show these kids I help get these kids here with the way my wrestling used to be. So like, I think he definitely stepped up and brought some of the old Cedric back, especially those Lombard checks, one of the best moves ever. But Javon, man, he is crazy. Him and Nathan Frazer, you couldn't, like, if you blinked, something else was happening already. Like, it was the legit joke of, oh, don't blink, you'll miss it. Like, man, if you do, they're already on to the next 3 or 4 spots ahead. Like, they were just so fast in this match. I assumed we were going to get some sort of breakup angle with Cedric because of the whole, like, you got
leaving him on his own.
He left him on his own, but also the conversation last week of like, hey, the hot-headedness, like sometimes you do have to like have attitude. So I'm wondering where we go with that, because part of me wants to see a rematch between any iteration of Javon and these guys. Was just great. But yeah, a really fun match here. Easily the best match on this show tonight, but also kind of then sets up into something else.
Yeah, so afterwards we see, also I love the match. I'm similar to you. I do think we'll get the Cedric turn, though, as well. I could see that happening.
Which could be good, too, for both of them, right? Like, like you get both of them, like, at each other and then having some good matches there. But, yeah, this really, like, delivered for me, and it was really fun to see some, like, there was Canadian Destroyers, there was all sorts of Phoenix Splashes. They were going all out with this stuff. I love Fraxium, and I know it's the cliche, do they get along, one bad cop, good cop kind of thing, but they are the best tag team in 2024. And this was another notch on their belt of a really great TV match.
So afterwards, we see Wes and Javon brawling backstage, and RVD just says, I know what I want to do. See you in Philly. So
maybe he's smoked a little too much Rolling Thunder that he just forgot and walked up, because he didn't tell us. Because then Ava's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" Everyone's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And then they continue to brawl.
Maybe
like, I don't know what that means.
Maybe he's like, "I want both of them." That looks fun. I assume it's a referee spot, but we do already have the referee spot with Dawn Marie. So I'd like it to be a triple threat. I think that would be really fun, and kind of takes a bit of pressure off of Van Dam as well. He can just kind of do his shit and then let the other two go at it.
I didn't even think of that. I just legit was like, hey, like, he's going to be a ref. But you're right. We already have a ref in this. So adding RVD to this match, it doesn't really make sense. But at the same time, I am not opposed to that. And I want that, because technically we got to smoke one if it's RVD and one of the Rascals, even though he's not one of the Rascals anymore. And then the Young OG, which is a great name for a Kush. Those know. So this could be a crazy triple threat match if that's what you're thinking. I just assumed, he's just going to be the ref and we get a one-on-one Extreme Rules match or something. But I
mean, I would think they'll announce it before next week if that is the case. Like,
if he's wrestling,
it's weird not to confirm what his role is. Because I was with you, I assumed the ref spot, but maybe a triple threat. Who knows?
Like, if it was him wrestling, you probably would have made that very clear. Like, think they're going up against AEW, which I guess they don't necessarily think is a big deal anymore, considering they'll probably win. But especially after the last time. But that was on Tuesdays. Now NXT is going on Wednesdays, and I still think there's a possibility they beat AEW, even though it's the other way around, just because it is a WWE product still. But if you announced this match with RVD, Wesley, and Javon, like, yeah, that sounds nutso. Definitely smoke them if you got them for that. Wow, that would be crazy. But either way, the singles match sounds good. The triple threat sounds good. Like, I'm not going to be upset with any of those things. But you kind of said, like, we should go towards Wes and Javon, which sounds amazing enough. Like, that's a pay-per-view match already.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so
yeah.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at any of these iterations that we might possibly get next week.
I was just thinking, sorry, I'm just going through the NXT Twitter to see if any, because they often like to announce things after the show.
Yeah, they do.
There's one of Blake Howard who finds the casket of Wendy. Choo opens it and she's vanished. There's an interview with Cedric Alexander who's not happy with Javon after him leaving him, but he's willing to give him another chance. So I think we're right that a heel turn's going there. But nothing of Van Dam, just says he has an idea to get things back in check. There is also that ECW staple of the three-way dance, you know, so
right.
Could have Rob eliminated first and then the two. I don't know. But we'll find out soon. But I enjoyed this week's show. I think I enjoyed this more than Halloween Havoc, to be honest.
I wouldn't go that far, but I thought the two tail ends, like the opening casket match, was way better than it had any right to be. So again, I got to shout out the women's division, because the news coming out of this show everyone will be talking about Zaria and the NXT 5 there, if you will. But I got to shout out Tatum and Wendy Choo, because I'm someone I've not been interested in this storyline whatsoever. And even though it's a silly casket match, like, I thought they definitely brought it, and like kind of proving like, hey, no, we may have silly gimmicks right now, but we can still go. And then on top of that, you had all the Zaria stuff. So like the women's roster in this show is always stacked. It's always high. It's at like an all-time stacked right now, which is just awesome. So that was really good. And then the tag team main event to sandwich it was like also really good as well. So I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as Halloween Havoc, but this felt like at least it had some things moving in parts and focusing on what should be a pretty fun and maybe even better show next week at the ECW arena. So
yeah,
I
just found it more entertaining top to bottom, to be honest. I think it's losing the overtime. It's only 7 minutes, but it's made the show like a lot more snappy, I think. And I thought they achieved quite a lot setting up next week. Even something as simple as the phone conversation with Nuncio. We imagine we're possibly getting Brooks and Tony D'Angelo in a match next week, although that wasn't announced, and Nuncio's involvement, right? I thought they achieved quite a lot on this week's show, and the pacing was good. And yeah, especially that main event, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, say Nathan Frazer, AXIOM, the fastest alive, or whatever their gimmick is, don't slow down. But this is, I don't know how many weeks we've already been on the CW, like 3 weeks. That poor main event referee, whoever's the ref in the main event, is just yelling at these guys. Yeah. Hurry up. He's not yelling, hey, slow down. He's like, take it fucking home. We still got to shoot an angle with RVD, and he doesn't even know where he is right now. Come on, hurry it up. Like, it just kept like, he kept yelling at them like it was the end of All In Chicago. So hopefully they do try to tighten that up, because I could like we both used the CW feed tonight to watch, and you said last week you got cut off. Like, I was worried that was going to happen to me again. I just see RVD standing there. I'm like, what is he going to say? But it didn't for me. So I guess that was okay. But yeah, I like this week's episode as well. And I'm looking forward to next week's.
We have a piece of feedback from Megan, who says, a very busy episode that gave me a sugar rush that Halloween Havoc somewhat lacked. Zaria's showcase was damn good. The Casket match was fun. Tony D getting a phone call from potentially the FBI. RVD showing up high as a kite. Trick Dub becoming an honorary Dudley. Jordan Grace, all caps, continuing to flirt with moving over to NXT. Just 3 days removed from Bound for Glory. Hervey Masher was a banger. Frazer and AXIOM continuing their string of a killer tag matches in the main event. And Sean made Liv look even more dangerous than Hunter ever did. That's a shoot, as she bloodied Rhea fucking Ripley. It's a broken record at this point. It's a woman's world in Florida. I'm glad I'm just living in it. The 10 women tag looks loaded AF. Blood sugar levels are stabilizing. Yes.
Women's World in Wrestling, I think, in Florida. I don't know what, how Florida, Florida, I don't really know if they know what's going on down there. Yeah.
But yeah, very, very women's heavy show tonight.
Yeah, but it's been their highlights. Like, again,
absolutely.
I think they've been really, it's been a focus, and it shows that, like, not only do we got a bullpen full of very talented women that we've been like working on and prepping for, like, stardom to see if they can do something big here. And then on top of that, we've also hand plucked like a bunch of superstars elsewhere, from Australia, from South America, from, different companies as well. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. Like, Halloween Havoc was a bit of a like, it was okay. This episode is like, I guess what you're saying is like, it was at least hyping us up for things to come. But I think the Bully Ray stuff, as cool it is, I'm seeing an ECW legend, and don't get me wrong, I think that's cool, but it's still Bully Ray, so I'm like, so that kind of drags it down, and I feel like that's been a thing.
Sorry, we don't recognize Bully Ray in WWE.
Sorry,
Braden.
Bubba Ray.
I know you're a TNA guy, Braden, but
I feel like that's even worse.
I
feel like that's even like lower down the thing if it's not even Bully Ray, because it's like Bubba was just Bubba. He never really got to have any run, so maybe he's getting some vindication here as well. So yeah, a little bit of like a mixed bag, but also I'm looking forward to where we go. And again, if we're fantasy booking the deadline show in about a month or 2 months or whenever that is, hopefully we get that one big Iron Survivor with the NXT 5, because I think that could really cook. So yeah, we'll see you next week, Wednesday night, the 2300 arena. Let us know if anyone's going. We'd love some live reports or comments or thoughts or anything like that. What a great venue. Check out all the nice things around it. You'll have a great time in Philly, as we did last time. But appreciate everyone out there listening, everyone in the chat, everyone in the YouTube, everyone listening on the podcast app. Really do appreciate everyone there checking us out, whether you're on a long drive or a nice long walk. Go to Poisonrana.ca for links of everything else that we do, like chop-tees.com/Poisonrana for the new Lucha Frog of Doom design on all the merch. That's how you can support us. You can also support us by going to patreon.com/Poisonrana, because $5 for a whole month's access gets you hundreds of different podcasts, including our Halloween Havoc 95, Best Match Ever, Abyss, etc., etc. So lots and lots of podcasts, and we can't do it without you, our NXT friends, our postmarks, our tadpoles, our poison pals, whatever it is you want to call yourselves, but we love you. We appreciate it. Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. By the time we talk to you next Wednesday, it'll be long gone. It'll be expired, not expired, but cheap candy. Is what it will be. Thank you, everyone. I myself, Braden Herrington, Twitter, Instagram @TheBrady.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And shout out the Rizzler.
Ahoy!